Well, OG. You are an OG, man. 6, 7 years. Yeah, super long time. I've been in the crypto space for 3.5 years. Basically, I joined in 2019. Yeah. When you were, when you, yeah, when you just, then what do you think about, different emerging markets in crypto? And in your point of view, like you have been here for 6, 7 years, and then what's the role of SSV? You just participated in this new project, and then what do you think about its landscape, the landscape SSV and the whole crypto sector? Yeah, SSV as a decentralized staking, product. And then what do you think about this emerging product in crypto? Because basically 7 years ago, you just had Bitcoin, right? Thanks, Adam. 哎，佳音，这个声音怎么样去？怎么设计？
听不到你们的声音，你点一下那个 OBS 下面那个声音，是不是关掉了？
是那个桌面的那个
桌面音频，你是不是关掉了？
哦，现在呢？
我要去听一下，你稍等。
好。加印，
可以了，关掉了，我关掉了。
好的，可以吗？哦，现在呢？
我要去听一下，你稍等。
好。
可以了，关掉了，我关掉了。
可以吗？哦，现在呢？
我要去听一下，你稍等。
LSDs are not that risky, but let's say less risky. So you hold at least, and in some cases, you'll get an extra yield for that because you're assuming more risk for your position, right? So you'll be able to have liquidity, which is a huge benefit for LSDs are not that or you'll be able risky, but let's say less risky. Generate alpha. So you hold at least, and in some cases, so then you'll get an extra yield for that because you're assuming more risk for.
Yeah, I think that's usually the case for people who are, I would say, trading or wanting to leverage on this DeFi technology. And just now you mentioned about your competitors like Rocket Pool, Stakewise, Lido, and Frax. What are the technology that SSV.network has to offer that actually separate yourself with your peers in this LSD industry? Your competitors like.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I lost you for like 10 seconds. So if you can repeat the question.
Okay.
Pretty
so I mentioned I repeat my question again. So just now earlier you mentioned about your competitors like Lido, Frax, Rocket Pool, Stakewise. What SSV.network in terms of technological differences that you guys can offer that actually separate you from the rest of the peers?
So Lido and Frax and Rocket Pool and all of those staking companies and technologies and implementations are not competitors with DVT. We're super open to working with each and every one of those companies, and we're actively working with Lido on potentially doing some DVT implementation inside the Lido protocol, and hopefully that will be the case for Rocket Pool and Stakewise and Frax and any other company operating, staking solutions in the space, right? Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. So it's kind of important to make the distinction. SSV and DVT is not a staking solution. SSV is basically a technology that aims to decentralize the Ethereum validation layer. So it kind of takes the existing construct of a validator, which runs a specific infrastructure and holds one validator key. And that kind of, you can say, infrastructure or that kind of setup has a lot of downsides. In terms of security, the ability to create redundancy for that kind of setup. And DVT essentially kind of is to solve those inefficiencies in the network. It's very similar to L2s, for example. L2s are not, competing with Aave, right? Aave are building their solutions on top or integrating L2s in order to offer faster, cheaper transactions. So hopefully companies like Lido will implement SSV in order to offer more secure decentralized staking and other kind of staking options for their users. So that's basically the correlation between something like SSV and Lido or any other staking implementation out there. We kind of work with everyone, and we want everybody to succeed, and we hope everybody will implement DVT because it's essentially a way to make sure the Ethereum network stays safe and decentralized, and stakers are as protected as you could imagine.
Right. So would you say that Lido and other RSV projects are a little bit more like centralized and it's inefficient in a way?
So I wouldn't say they're centralized, and I definitely won't say they're inefficient. I think they are, pretty incredible implementations. They're serving a lot of customers at a ton of ease, and they're doing so very successfully over a long period of time. But I think you can always, create more efficiencies, and you can always become more decentralized. So decentralization is something that exists on a spectrum, right? There is no maximum decentralization, and there is no, it's not basically a black or white or a zero-sum game. So you can be decentralized or centralized. You can be centralized to a certain extent and left decentralized to a different extent. So I think Lido essentially can use this technology to allow different implementations that are a bit harder to do with the current setup, right? For example, right now, the Lido operators there are tens of operators, and you can potentially open their operator base to hundreds of operators or even thousands, right? There's a pretty extensive sort of process for operators to enter the Lido ecosystem, and essentially with something like DVT, because it adds a layer of security and a layer of distribution to this kind of protocol, you might be able to have less restrictions on the operator selection that you do and the sort of the process that operators need to undergo in order to be a part of Lido, right? So there are different implementations you can think about when it comes to using and implementing DVT. And it's definitely not the case that it kind of solves, a huge issue with Lido, for example, because they're, inefficient and centralized. That's definitely not the case.
Okay, understood. Thank you very much, Adam. And another question I have for you is regarding, I saw a tweet earlier this morning for me, that you're offering more services to institutional investors who wish to stake, right? What is this about?
Sorry, who is operating more institutional services? I didn't.
Okay. Earlier today, I saw a post or a tweet on SSV.network regarding offering services to institutional investors.
I don't know. I didn't see that post, so I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to.
Okay, don't
But
worry about
we're not offering services to stakers. What we are is offering, for the most part, services to builders and developers who come in and want to build distributed, decentralized staking applications on top of DVT, right? DVT is, the actual technology. SSV is just the name of the project. So this is basically what we do. So let's say a company like Lido will use our solution in order to deploy, to basically recreate, so to speak, their infrastructure. And that's, again, just an example. It's not exactly what Lido is doing, but to recreate their infrastructure on top of DVT, to make sure, it's safer, more decentralized, and, better overall in terms of hopefully performance and slashing protection. This goes on. We're not offering services to, end users. That's not our main goal.
Right. Okay. Understood. Thank you very much, Adam. And moving on, I think the LSD narrative has started. I think it became the hot topic at the start of, I would say, January this year, and it was, I think, largely attributed to Ethereum announcing of the Shanghai outbreak in March. And is this something like, is it something very positive? Because right now we have a tentative date that this staking gets unlocked, compared to previously, which we would say that because we don't know when will it be unlocked, and there might be a risk in LSD.
So the question is, it's a positive, if Shanghai upgrade is a positive occurrence in...
Yes, so, yeah.
Let's say, first of all, yes. The answer is definitely yes. It's a huge positive for the Ethereum ecosystem, and I think, for the entire blockchain space as a whole. Generally speaking, when a project in the magnitude of Ethereum goes out and creates a roadmap that they have been following for the past, I think, 4+ years, and we are reaching moments like the genesis of the beacon chain, and the entire transition to being POS based all the way to the Shanghai upgrade, which means that, that essentially it's another milestone that will be conquered. I think overall it's a huge plus. What people kind of tend to focus on, and I think it's a bit unnecessary, is what will happen in the very short term. Will people take their ETH out? Will they sell their ETH? How will that affect the price? Eventually, you need to kind of look at it from a value perspective. So the question people should think about and ask themselves is, if something gets upgraded, is it more valuable? Is it becoming better? And I think in the case of Ethereum, it's definitely the case. And I think that's what people should focus on. If some people will take their ETH out, some people will take their ETH in, I think overall, eventually you'll see more ETH being staked in Ethereum, and not less, because, the ETH is becoming liquid. So there's no liquidity risk, or a lot, lower liquidity risk. But the basic premise, or the basic kind of assumption, is that Ethereum is, getting better, completing huge milestones in its roadmap, and following the Shanghai upgrade, it will pave the way to focus on things that will potentially make Ethereum faster and cheaper to use on, the core protocol level, which will be also super, amazing. Those implementations will happen, and I believe they will. So Ethereum is going to get better. There'll be a lot more resources to dedicate to things that will make it even, more significant, faster, cheaper. And I think overall, that's what people should focus on, and less what will happen if, some people sell their ETH and, those kind of things.
Yes, because I think for OGs like you, or people who truly believe in the technology behind Bitcoin and Ethereum, would definitely agree with you, because they believe the technology, and this is something that it's not something that they would want to speculate on, because they are all focused on the long-term goals of Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? Because right now, I think some of the viewers might be thinking, like, after the Shanghai upgrade, when Ethereum staking gets unlocked, would there be selling pressure, or will you be bearish? I think personally, from what I see, is you're more bullish rather than bearish, right?
I mean, I don't want to say anything regarding price speculation. I have no idea if the Ethereum price will go up or down. I am bullish on the overall, perspective of Ethereum to become an important technology and to be used by more people and businesses all over the world, and to provide value, for mankind. I think it sounds a bit grandiose. I'm a true believer. And that's my core focus. If I'm bearish or bullish, it's not something that I care to discuss, and it's not something that I can even say anything about, because I'm so bad at allocating funds and investments and all those kind of things. Everybody should make their own decision. I think eventually the basic idea, Ethereum is getting better, taking huge steps forward, and that's what people should kind of focus on, because otherwise, if those things won't happen, if we would have been an industry with a stagnant technology, with no innovation, and no essentially strides forward, that will be a lot more concerning. So if that's what you're looking for, I guess Bitcoin is a better place to park your funds.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Moving on. So regarding, I think earlier this week there's news regarding SEC regulations on staking services on centralized exchange, for example, Kraken. So does that impact like the overall sentiment of the whole staking industry, like from your point of view, just from your opinion?
I think it's still a question mark what will happen with staking, specifically in the US. There are a few big exchanges and a few big staking solutions that hold a lot of ETH at stake, and they're pretty significant to the space, and I hope their ability to kind of participate in this economy, in this industry, will not be jeopardized as much as people think. I think that a lot of the SEC kind of claims against crack activity when it comes to staking were pretty clear. I mean, these are things that I guess the next exchange or other exchanges might be able to implement solutions around, and maybe create better customer interaction and better T's and C's when it comes to their staking offerings. So I don't think it will kill the industry in the foreseeable future, but that's a speculation. I'm not exactly sure. I think the impact is very pronounced, and it will be felt in the crypto space, and I think it's not the end of sort of the SEC intervention with the world of kind of Ethereum staking and staking in general. But I think, eventually what we are doing is building technologies and innovation that will offer alternatives, decentralized alternatives, distributed systems, Web3, and I think stakers eventually will always have an address. Will always have a place they can go and stake their ETH and participate, and be a part of the crypto space, regardless of what a specific government body thinks about the industry, or if they want to stifle this sort of innovation or not. So I think I'll end this by saying that I think staking your ETH is essentially a form of vote. But when you stake your ETH, you vote on many things. Obviously, you want to get returns for it, but you also vote on decentralization. You vote on the health of the network, and you vote on your support, to up-and-coming staking solutions and innovations that might sustain the industry, over the long run. I think this is super important for you to really consider before entering this ecosystem. because your vote and your voice for Ether matters.
Hey,
Thank
Adam.
you very much, Adam.
Yeah, Adam.
So, just now, earlier you mentioned about LSD 2.0. Could you tell us more about it? What is this LSD 2.0 about, or is there any things that new improvements or new innovations going on in this space?
Well, I don't know if LSD 2.0 is like something like a ubiquitous way in the industry to refer to those LSD innovations that we're seeing coming about in the last few months. But basically, I mentioned before that in the beginning it was LSP, so liquid staking pools, come in and stake less than 32 ETH, and in some cases those pools issued, LSDs, staking derivatives, against those deposits. So if you stake 1 ETH, you get 1 ST. So that's pretty straightforward. I think moving forward, what a lot of those companies are kind of considering and working around is creating protocols that are only focusing on the LSD layer, right? So up until now, something like Rocket Pool, for example, they needed to think about the entire stack. So they need to think about key creation and key distribution and infrastructure and UI UX and essentially the actual, REs they're creating for their users and the model behind that. I think there will be a separation. So I think a lot of companies are going to focus on the infrastructure, so sort of on the back end, on running nodes, running validator here in Ethereum. And then a lot of protocols are going to focus solely on, the LSD part. So in the future, we'll be able to, for example, participate in protocols like Stakewise V3, which is created solely for providing liquidity